Hello, everyone. Welcome to Girls Night Live. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight we have a special guest, Penny Finance. And Crissy Cole, the founder, is going to talk to you. And if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A area, and Amanda will answer all of your questions. So say hello, and let's get started. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's money workshop. We titled this session, How Much Money is Enough Money? So before we even dive in and share who we are and why we're here and what we're going to talk about, would love for people to answer in the chat. How much do you think is enough money? And I'd love to see people's answers.
That's a good question.
And when Peg and I were talking before this, she said there's never enough money.
Faith, put it into the
chat
Q&A.
Put it into the Q&A, please. And we'll read them out to everyone.
See if I can. There you go.
You got 2.5 million, 200,000.
Wow. Big variance there.
Yeah.
Any others? I know there's more people on this call. And there is no magic number. It depends, obviously, but okay, well,
1.2 million, the way healthcare keeps rising along with inflation was the recent answer.
Yeah. So definitely not 200,000. That's not enough. If we think about to retire, I should have said to retire. Maybe someone's answered 200,000, like, is that how much you make per year? That could be. 1.2, close. It needs to be at least, if you're gonna live in retirement for 20 years, it needs to at least be 1.5 million. With inflation, with the cost of living, with healthcare. So 1.5 is the number, and we're going to dig into why I think that and how you can back into your number, because for every person it's different. Welcome. We always like to start with a thought-provoking topic. I'm Crissy. I'm the founder and CEO of Penny Finance. I am also a mother of a little girl, Charlie. She's now 18 months old. My background is I started investing at a very young age. I was 14 when I bought my first stock, thanks to my mama. I studied finance in college. I landed at Goldman Sachs in New York and spent 10 years there investing and also building tech for clients and also internal teams so that they can invest in. That's my background. That's my foray. But the real reason I'm here is because like many of you, I felt like I could never make enough. I could never had enough. I was underwater on my student loans. I felt ashamed about putting my rent on my credit card. And I think a lot of women feel that too. And that's why I started Penny. We are a financial planning platform for women. We started 3.5 years ago. We've been partnering with Girls Night Live, I think this entire year, to support what you do. And we are focused mainly on women, and women specifically because women retire with 32 cents for every dollar men have. You hear about the pay gap all the time. We make 82 cents to every dollar a man makes. But the wealth gap is even bigger. And when we say wealth gap, we just mean how much money is in your bank account, how much money do you have left over. And the biggest population entering into poverty these days in America is retirees, and that should not be the case. We work our whole life. We should be able to retire free and clear. So that's why we're here tonight. And we titled the session, How Much Money is Enough Money? Because women across the board are not accumulating enough wealth, and we want you to accumulate wealth to retire. Why is this the case? Before we dig into like all the tips and tricks and how to look at your numbers, we always want to back into the why. Women generally are more anxious about money. They have more debt, but for good reason. We've been getting more degrees and getting more advanced degrees since the 1980s. So we've accumulated more student debt. And then you add that with the just overall lack of inclusion in the financial world. We as women are, this is generally speaking, this might not be for you, but don't want to take risks. How could we take risk with our money when we have more debt, we don't know the trade secrets, and we're super anxious about it? We don't want to take risks, which means we don't invest our money and we don't focus on all of the little tips and tricks and things we can do to grow our wealth. That's why we're here today. We want to share all the wisdom with you so that you can make really smart, healthy, confident decisions about your money. Just a little bit about Penny. I gave you a little brief, intro to why we started, and you've probably seen our name a million times at Girls Night Live, but we're basically an online tech-powered platform for women who don't have access to a financial advisor. So that inclusion piece I was talking about, you can only really get a financial advisor in America if you have $100,000 in the bank. And only 30% of women have $100,000 or more in the bank. So it leaves this big gap in the world. And we wanted to create a financial education platform for people who are left out, which is generally women, so that you can make money today and retire with wealth tomorrow. It's fully online, no human beings except for, the events that we do. And we think you can do it yourself. Today, we're going to talk about a bunch of things and use the Penny tools. Like I said, to make sure that you feel like you have enough or are on your path to have enough and feel confident about your money. Before I dive into the agenda, Mandy, do we have any questions that we need to hit before we dive into the content today?
Not yet.
Okay, great. So what we're going to cover today, how much is your enough? So like I said, everyone gave a different number in the beginning. Everyone's different. How much do you spend? Are you healthy? Do you have kiddos? Do you have aging parents you're taking care of? Do you have anyone you're taking care of? Do you want to have a beach house? Like there's just so many different variables here. So we're going to back into that. How much is your enough? Knowing your numbers with this mini budget method, figuring out your debt and loans and your payments on those, maximizing a retirement account because we believe that's a way to accumulate wealth, investing the low risk way, the women way, and then your emergency fund, which one of our women in our community renamed it last week to the Opportunity Fund. And I love that because emergency just sounds so like scary and awful. It's your opportunity fund, your fund. You're just like nest egg that sits there that you have access to just in case you want to do something. You want to leave your job, you want to move, etc. And then if we have time, we'll go through credit cards. But our big thing is all of this advice, and we say this on every session we do. Everyone has a different financial picture. Everyone has different financial goals. Everyone has a different mindset about money. So there's no black and white, right and wrong with money. That's why we built the tools that we have, and we want you to use those to help you make the right decision. So there's every single person on this call might have a different answer for what they should be paying on their loans based on what type of loans you have, your goals, your age, etc. So just remember that. And when you see all this advice, on TikTok and Instagram, there's no right way. And just because somebody is saying that this worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So mindset is everything here, and just really like thinking about what you want, not what people are telling you to do. So let's dig in. And with that, because there's no one size fits all, we have built a interactive money quiz that allows you to put in your numbers, and it spits out to you, okay, if you were never to change a thing, what are your financial realities today? What does your retirement balance look like at 65, which is the average retirement age in America? I would love for you all to retire sooner. My goal is 55. and then what your debt looks like. If you were to keep paying what you're paying every month on your debt, when are they gone? And that's how I want to sort of frame your mind when we're going through this advice. It's less about how much you have and how much you're making. It's more about like, what is it going to look like at the end of the day? So if you take a little screenshot or you open your phone, open your camera, this flow code will take you to our quiz. You can also simply type penny-finance.com/quiz into your phone or your computer. This takes about 3 minutes. So it's 7:14. So in a couple minutes, we'll come back to the group, go over your results together. And this will sort of just give you a starting point. And one thing I do want to say when you're going through this quiz is if you don't know the exact number, because we'll ask for what's your retirement balance or what's the payment you're making on your loans, you can estimate and go back and change the numbers. I'll show you where to change them. And you could take this quiz 100 million times if you want. Don't worry about having it exactly. It's supposed to be a plug and play tool for you to help make decisions about your money. So I'll give you a couple minutes. When we come back, we'll go through the results, and then we're going to dive into knowing your numbers, your mini budget, what to do with these loans, how to invest your retirement accounts. And if you have any questions about anything in the quiz, put them in the Q&A and we can answer them. And just pretend there's some lovely music playing right now. My phone is dead, or I would play some.
Hi, Crissy, it's Peg. I think
Hello.
that, hi, I think this is great. I think so many women are intimidated by the thought of investing, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that we need to change. And there's so many women that do end up having to manage all the finances of a family or a household, and so I think that's probably why there's risk aversion. Just my opinion
Absolutely.
as a 65-year-old woman, but
Yeah.
but I think that all of these tools that you give out are invaluable to us. So thank
I'm
you
so
for that.
happy to hear that. Yeah,
Thank
what
you.
we find is two of the main things to help with your anxiety about money is learning, because once you're equipped with the knowledge, then it doesn't seem as scary. And then the second thing is having a community of women, just like Girls Night Live and Penny, where you can feel comfortable going through a tough topic that you might not want to even focus on or spend a second on, so that you feel, much more confident in general about your money.
And everything that's happening tonight, ladies, will be emailed to you tomorrow. So if you need to go back and check and come up with this and fill this out later and send it to Penny Finance, you can, but everything will be emailed out to you so that you'll have all these resources. And it's a great company with a lot of good things for women. Women forward, right?
Thank you. So has anyone finished the quiz? Drop in the Q&A. And I'm going to open example quiz results so that we can go through them together.
Still working on the quiz, but just want to let you know that the QR code work.
We have some yeses of being done with the quiz. And I didn't hear the end of that. I think Jessica was saying that the QR code was what? Is it not working?
It doesn't work, but I just typed in the that you gave us.
Okay. Thank you. We'll fix that.
Not surprising. QR codes have been giving me trouble. I don't know what is going on with them. It's not easy to make those, and they're just on fluke.
So this is when you're done, this is the results screen that you're going to see. And I will walk you through each component, but I'll give you all another 30 seconds. Okay, a few more yeses. So I'm going to finish for folks that haven't finished up, just finish answering the questions. Can listen and watch at the same time. So you entered some numbers, and our goal is to give you a big picture of your money. So first is your savings, and we think of this as retirement savings. Whatever you have in your 401k or IRA, which is a retirement account today, how much you're putting in every single month, say $500, what is that going to grow to if you invested in stocks and bonds, which is the critical piece of the puzzle to grow wealth? What will that grow to? So for this example, $1 million, which, like we said, we need a little bit more, but that's incredible. But what does that look like if you're not investing the money? Because, this is a piece that we hear time and time again. I just want to save my money and I want it to be safe, and I just want to look at it in my bank account, which we totally get. But we use this tool to help you understand how critically important investing piece is. It's sort of not even an option. You can't retire with $229,000 really, or it's going to be really tough. You're going to have to maybe still be working. You can retire with $1 million. And so investing is so key. It's not just about saving the dollars and putting the money in every month, which is really hard. It's about making sure the money is invested in stocks and bonds for your age, which is a part of this webinar today. But I just like you to see the numbers big picture ahead of time. And then you can play around with this to see, okay, I really want to hit that 1.5 number that we mentioned in the beginning. Well, that means I need to increase my monthly contribution, my monthly savings from $500 to $800. Can I do that? But having that number locked in your brain as like, this is the magic number for me, that helps us figure out your mini budget. That helps us figure out your debt payments. That helps us back into all your other financial goals. So what we'd like you to do is figure out this number first. Because at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? We're trying to create more wealth for women. We're trying to make sure women retire free. This is the first piece of the puzzle. The next piece of the puzzle is debt. And like we said, women carry a majority of student loan debt in this country. We are also burdened with a significant amount of medical debt and personal loans. So we want to make sure with the debt piece that what you're paying on your debt gets you out of debt eventually. 30% of the women using Penny, our platform, we have about 21,000 women on Penny today. 25% will never pay off their debt. And we don't want that to be you. We want to make sure you're on track. We don't really care when it is. That's up to you and what makes you feel good and helps you sleep at night. But we want to make sure you're debt free. So what this calculator is doing is taking your loan balance, how much you're paying, and projecting how long it will take until you pay off that debt based on the interest rate. If it says never, I want you to adjust this to see, okay, how much more do I need to contribute to chip away at the years here? This example I have in here is $6,000. So that's not a huge loan balance, and paying $400 a month, you're going to pay it off in a year. That's awesome. Most people have a significant student loan debt or credit card debt or personal loans or medical debt, and it's a much higher number. I believe the average in our platform is around $37,000. That's going to take a little more maneuvering. So again, the goal of this is big picture. I want two numbers in your brain first. How do you get to 1.5? This is called how much is enough, at least 1.5, unless you're a really thrifty spender. And you're going to get a ton in Social Security, and you're going to have wonderful Medicare, and you're, retiring right at 66. It needs to be a 1.5 number. How do we back into that? And then while we're doing that, what's the sustainable number for debt so you can chip away at that? Any questions? on the money quiz. Oh, and then I want to show you how to edit these numbers. If you go to your name on the top and you go to your profile, we've put those final numbers from your quiz here. You can see the results, or you can update your numbers in here whenever you want. So you don't have to take the quiz over and over again. And we like that you go in here regularly and update your numbers, because it drives a lot of the recommendations in the site and the emails that you get. And this money quiz is the free offering. The rest of Penny, which we're going to be using today, is a paid membership, which you all have access to through Girls Night Live, and we'll get the code at the end of this session. Okay, let's get back into the presentation. You took the quiz, you see your numbers. We're going to back into now that you know what is the number I need to contribute to retirement and contribute to my loans. Let's back into the mini budget. Then we're going to get into investing, because that's the critical piece here. So your mini budget. Yes, we do not love budgeting at Penny. Budgeting doesn't work. If you're someone where budgeting works, kudos to you. You're an amazing, self-motivated, really incredible person. Psychologically, budgeting is just a really hard thing. You want to bust through the limits. It's really hard to remember every line item. The concept of budgeting is key, right? Like, what is left over at the end of the day? What am I spending? We want you to know your numbers. We want you to practice mindful spending, but we don't want you to sit in an Excel spreadsheet for hours and hours and budget every line item. We want you to think about it more big picture. So we've developed this tool called the mini budget. And this is sort of a mindset framework too. It's not just a tool on the internet. The idea is, okay, you make a certain amount of money, income, woohoo, great. You got to pay taxes. What is that number? You have to contribute to retirement. This is the only way you're going to be able to stop working one day. We call it the magic. And you have to live. What are the must pay expenses in your life? You have to have a car to get to work. You have to live somewhere. You need a roof over your head. What's your rent? What's your mortgage? Add that all up. We want your budget number is one single number. It is the number that is left over. So in this example, someone makes $60,000. They live in Massachusetts, so they pay federal and mass taxes. They're putting $300 a month into the retirement. And just for simplicity purposes, they spend $2,500 a month on must pay expenses, insurance, phone, $1,200 left over. That's the number at the end of the day. They're like, okay, I now need to contribute to my debt, and then the rest, what am I doing with that? Am I saving for a kid to go to college? Do I want to take a trip next spring? Do I want to spend it all? Because I don't need anything else. I've hit all my goals with retirement and debt, and I'm paying my bills. It's much easier to remember a $1,200 number and how to divvy that up than remember I'm going to spend $60 on mani-pedi, and then I'm going to do We want you to know the big picture numbers. And that actually intuitively, naturally, especially for women, allows you to spend better. I'm going to pause there. Questions about the mini budget?
I don't have anything presently.
Woohoo. Okay, moving on. Loans and debt. So we talked a bit about this because of the money quiz, but I want to show you an example because I think this is critical in just understanding how loans and debt work. If you have a mortgage, if you have a car loan, we are not worried about it. Why? We're not worried about it because they are designed to be paid off at a certain period of time. You get a 30-year mortgage. Your payment is calculated, so in 30 years, it's gone. The mortgage is gone, you own your house outright. Same thing with the car loan. You get a car loan. Car loans are usually 5 to 10 years. Your payment is set. When that car loan expires, you own the car outright. Loan is gone. That is not the case for credit cards, personal loans, medical debt, student loans. With those loans, it depends on the servicer, but most do not require a minimum payment, or they calculate a minimum payment that actually is not getting you out of debt over a certain period of time. You have to figure out, when is this loan going to be gone? This is an example of a member in Penny. We show this example over and over again. She has $70,000 in student debt at 7.8% and 6.2%. We calculated her minimum payment. It's $443. That's basically this interest. It's only covering the interest to the bank. It's not chipping away at the student debt. If she was paying, you can set whatever, you can decide however much you want to spend on your student loan, unless you're on an income repayment plan, or you've refinanced with SoFi or another provider like that. You can decide how much you're contributing. It's completely up to you. If I was only putting $400, I am wasting $400 every single month. I'm never paying off these loans. So we want to make sure you're paying a tiny bit more than the minimum on any loan that's not a mortgage and not a car loan. Basic fundamentals of loans and debt, no matter what debt you have. And it could be your student loans, it could be your kids' student loans. And then I just put these examples here so you can sort of see the math of how you're changing your payment and how that changes the loan payoff period. Mandy and I, we work at Penny. We have two totally different philosophies about debt, and that's fine. There's no right answer for these options. If you ask me, well, which one should I do? Between 500 and 1100 doesn't matter. It's what makes you feel good. If you look at the raw math, the quicker you pay something off, the less interest you will have paid. So like net, you do save money by paying more and paying them off. But at the end of the day, that's just not realistic. For me, I don't care when I pay them off. Debt doesn't bother me. For me, I look at it as a tool in my life to just live my life. Mandy, on the other hand, she does not like how she feels to have debt. So for her goal is to pay it off more quickly. For me, it's not to pay it off more quickly. But it doesn't matter. There's no like, you shouldn't feel like you're doing something wrong. The only thing that's wrong is this first option, not paying enough because you're just throwing money away. And I'd rather you be putting that $400 in an investing account and growing it than paying your debt. Obviously, then you'll default and that'll be a bigger issue, but it needs to be a little bit over the 443 is the only right answer here. Then it's up to you and how you feel. And that's why we love the quiz, because it allows you to sort of tinker with it and decide, okay, you know what? I don't know, 14 years, that feels pretty good, because in 14 years, my kids will be out of the house and I'd love to be debt free. Whatever it is, lock in that number in your brain and you go back to your money budget. So say we picked 700 of your 1200 that's left over, 700 is going and towards your debt, and you have 500 left over. Now that's your budget number. Questions about debt. And we are happy to answer any questions about refinancing, consolidating. Should I lease? Should I buy my car? Is my mortgage rate good? Should I do a home equity loan? I mean, there's so many different pieces of this, and we have, different modules and calculators and tools in Penny for any of those situations if you're experiencing them in your life right now. But happy to take this opportunity to answer any personal questions people have about debt and loans. Drop them in the Q&A chat.
First question, what's your advice for buying a car?
This is a similar answer to these three options, 500, 700, 1100. There's no right answer. So the way I would think about it is this. If you have three options with a car, you can buy it outright with cash, you can finance it, or you can get a lease. I want you to think about the opportunity cost of the cash you're putting down. So if you decide I'm going to buy the car outright with cash, it's $20,000. What else could that $20,000 be doing in the world? Could that be put in a 529 account for a child? Could that be invested in the stock market, returning 7 to 10% per year? If you've accomplished everything on your financial checklist already, then using that money outright to buy a car is totally fine. And then you own the car, it's your asset, you can hopefully sell it later. If you finance a car right now, interest rates are almost 8%. So you're taking out a loan at 8%. That's fine though if you don't have the cash. I mean, not a lot of people have $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 just sitting in the bank to buy a car. Just remember, you're going to be taking out a loan at 7%, but you're on track to own the car later, and then you can sell it back, pay off the loan. Leasing, you're going to make a payment every single month, but you're not, it's like renting. You're contributing that money and you're going to return the car, and that's that. It's money out of the door. I would compare the last two options, the lease amount, say it's $500 a month, to your car loan payment. Maybe that's $700 a month. At the end of the day, if you're saving $200 a month by doing the lease, what are you doing with that money? There's no right answer. Like I said, okay? It's all about trade-offs. If you're leasing it, you're not going to be able to have the car be owned. It's not your car at the end of the day. But if you can save $200 and put that $200 towards a retirement account, that's great. So I know everyone wants like me to say, you should only buy a car with cash or whatever, but that isn't the case. It's what is happening in your life. What is the opportunity cost of that money that you're saving or spending? And did you check off everything else on your list first? And then at the end of the day, I mean, the used car market is actually really strong right now. So if you are selling a car back in the world, you're probably going to get good value for it. So keep that in mind too. Very good question. We never really get question about car buying, and that makes me happy.
That's it for now.
Okay. Student loans. If you have student loans, we have a survival guide on our page, penny-finance.com/student loans. You put in your employer, your marital status, your income. Will tell you, are you eligible for student loan relief? Can you get a reduced payment? If not, what are your options? Use this. Please, student loans were paused for 3 years. Some people who graduated college have never even paid their loan, and they're, oh my God, what do I do? Or you have kids who are getting into school, or you have your own. I had my own for so long. Mandy still has some. Everyone on the Penny team has student loans. It's not fun to have to pay that money, but there's lots of options out there. Please use this tool. Okay, retirement. This, like we said, is the magic. This is the magic. We love this slide. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on one second. My husband just called me 3 times with the baby, and I just want to make sure everything is okay.
We'll give Crissy just a minute. This is a familiar scenario to all of us, isn't it? As women, we multitask greatly. And we kind of do a lot of things. So we'll give her just a minute. This is amazing information. I know you've had a lot of master classes on these
sorry.
student loans.
Oh man, being a mom. No, my husband's like,
Everything's okay.
I need to give Charlie Tylenol, and how much do you usually give her? Because, and she's not 24, she's exactly 24 pounds, and it says 24 pounds on the thing. I'm like, how much did you give her? He's like 5 mLs. And all I'm thinking right now is like, I think he gave her way too much, but I told him to send me a picture. The joys of, oh, dads. Okay. Let's hope that he did not give way too much Tylenol. Back to retirement. Thank you all for letting me take that. So the way I want you to think about retirement is start early. The younger you are, the less you need to save and invest to grow your wealth. So 22-year-old, 32-year-old, 49-year-old. They're saving the same amount, investing. Look at the difference in these numbers. When you get a late start, the compounding growth of investing, because you earn on average 7 to 10% per year on your money, it all happens with a longer time horizon. And investing makes sense over at least a 10-year period, because you're able to capture 7 to 10% of earnings. And then there's going to be some down years too, but when it all adds up, you're going to be able to accumulate more. This is called compound growth. That doesn't mean if you're 49 years old, all is lost. Like, it still matters. It still is great. It's still really good to think about investing in stocks and bonds, but you want to invest for your age. And when you're older, you need to be a little more conservative about your money. Another point here, we get questions all the time. Should I do a regular retirement account or a Roth retirement account? And the rule of thumb is Roth makes more sense when you're younger, because you pay taxes now when you're in a lower tax bracket. And then when you take this money out, you don't pay taxes on it. Regular means you get a tax credit today, which is nice. But you have to pay taxes on the money when you take it out. So that's the little trick on Roth and regular. I see a couple questions, Mandy.
Mm-hmm. One is just a lovely mama comment about Charlie
Oh.
to have dilute everything if it is too much, and have her drink more water and stay hydrated.
Thank you.
And then a genuine question is, in regards to retirement, if your employer matches your 401k, do you still save
Yes.
$500 a month?
Yes. So, usually with match, you have to contribute to get the match. It's not like you just have a retirement account and they put money into it. So usually it's a very complicated formula. They'll be like, we'll match 50 cents for every 50 cents for, every dollar you put in up to 3%, or, it's some crazy formula. Basically, you want to get as much of the match as possible. So I like to back into what's the maximum my company is going to give me. So if they're going to tell you they're going to match every dollar up to 3% of your salary, put in 3% of your salary if you can. And then whatever that number is, put it into the penny calculator, figure out what is it that I'm going to end up with at the end, because that's free money from your company. And that'll help you to save more over time. And I would front load it when you're like for a few years, and you can always reduce it later, right? Because of this idea of compound growth. That's a very good question.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify too, Crissy, because sometimes it's easier to read it. The question was, if your employer is matching, do you still need to put in $500 a month? And just to be clear, Faith,
Yes.
this example
Yeah.
you're seeing on the slide is just an example. So it
Right.
is about backing into how much you need to put in, like Crissy was showing on the money quiz. You got to figure out your number. It's not 500 for everybody. Just an example, but hopefully that feels clear. Ask again if we can clarify anything. We have another question, Crissy. When
Yep.
you do put money in a 401k, you pick a percentage. But are you supposed to do something beyond that? Are you supposed to pick stocks, or does the company automatically choose stocks for you?
It's like you knew what I was going to go do next. That is the best question anyone could ask. You have to invest the money. Some companies are amazing and they auto enroll you in a target fund, but you need to look at your statement and make sure that they did that. I don't see a lot of companies doing that these days because they don't want to take on the burden of like picking the wrong investment for you. You usually need to pick the stocks and bonds or the mutual funds or the target fund in the account, or your money's just sitting in cash. It might even automatically put you in it's called a cash alternative fund. That is not investing in stocks and bonds. That's like it's sitting in a checking account. That's not what we want. Okay, what we want is for your money to be in stocks and bonds, because that's where when you're going to be growing at 7 to 10%, because your money's locked up and it's in there for the long term. So we need to make sure you pick the assets and pick what your money is getting invested in every month. And that usually requires you to do something. So that's the best question. That's literally why, other than student debt is the reason we started this company. But the other reason is we've met so many women who've done the hard job of contributing to their 401ks, but didn't do the administrative step of investing the money, which is the magic. So thank you so much for asking that, because that is huge. How do you do this is the next question. Well, some companies have like 40 to 100 different investment options in a 401k. And you were never taught this anywhere in your life. How are you supposed to know what to pick? Investing, we could spend hours on it. In Penny, I want to show you where you need to go. So especially for the person who just asked that question, to help you make the decision of what do I invest in? First, you have to figure out, what does your company offer you? So here's Penny, right? We talked about your numbers. We have a tool that'll peer through at your accounts and tell you if they're invested. So that's the first step, is like, if you link your account, we'll tell you, oh, actually that money is in cash. It's not invested. And we'll check all these accounts are fine. There's only $100 sitting in cash. We'll check that for you, because it's sort of hard to figure that out. And then we have different modules here for you to figure out, okay, what's my investing plan for my 401k? You can do target funds, you can do stocks, you can do ETFs. The easiest option is target funds. You can click in here. We'll explain to you what it is, how to figure out how to do it. Same with stocks, same with ETFs. I wish I had more time, but it takes time to explain the logic behind that. On a scale from easiest to hardest, target funds easiest, then mutual funds and ETFs are sort of similar. And then picking individual stocks and bonds, I would recommend not doing that. You don't need to do that. You can do funds all the way. Funds are basically just like a collection of stocks and bonds that track the market. You need to get exposure to the market, get invested, 100% invested. The trick, I'm going to leave you with the trick. You need to invest for your age. So you can pick a mutual fund, you can pick an ETF, you can pick a stock, you can pick a bond. But the key is, we want your bonds to match your age. I'm 34. I should have 34% bonds or bond funds in my account. And then the rest should be in stocks and stock funds. As you get older, you have more bonds, less stocks. Stocks are riskier, bonds are less risky. And as you get older and closer to retirement, you want to preserve that capital and make sure that money is there for you when you retire. So more stocks as you're younger, more bonds as you're older. And then just please play around with Penny and click into these different educational modules will help you figure out what makes sense, how to determine of all the investment options, which ones make sense. It takes a little time to dig into that. So I can't cover that today. We're already at 7:48. Okay, last topic, and then we'll take more questions, is emergency savings, or now we're calling it your opportunity fund. Emergency savings, in the hierarchy of when you do things, emergency savings, then debt, then retirement. That's how we want you to think about it. Emergency savings is always first. What if something happens? You need access to money. Your must pay expenses from your mini budget times 6. This is what the CFP recommends. Some financial advisors will tell you 3 months. We say 6 months because of the world we're living in. We're in an economic recession. It is a very tough job market. Everything is so expensive. We want you to have 6 times. Keep this money in a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account is a savings account that pays you 4 to 5% interest. That 4 or 5% interest is free money. How to increase your cash flow today? High yield savings account. And then every time your expenses change, so should this fund. Very, very, very important. If, God forbid, something happens in your life and you don't have enough in this account, 0% credit cards are a tool that you can use to temporarily get access to capital for a period of time and not pay interest on it. It will affect your credit score. But we like to share all the different tools because the reality is life comes at you fast, and it might take you time to accumulate this emergency savings account, or you might have 3 months in here, not 6 months. It's okay. 0% credit cards are a tool that are wonderful. We have modules in Penny to help you figure this out. Just know it does affect your credit score. You do pay a 3% fee, but it's good to have options and access to capital. Any questions, Mand?
Nope, no questions.
Okay. So to wrap up, we have a bunch of options for support. As you know, like finances, I mean, it took me almost 20 years to accumulate all of this knowledge. You're not going to learn this all overnight. It takes time. It takes a community to support you. It takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of willpower to go look at those statements and figure out the numbers. We have a couple different ways that you can get additional help. We are offering a financial reset program that is kicking off on January 11th. It's a 4-week program, 8 lessons, daily check-ins. If you want to enroll in this, you can access it penny-finance.com/events. We also do free masterclasses every month on various topics. We're doing an investing masterclass in January. We're doing an insurance masterclass next month because it's open enrollment. We love to do various things to help do exactly what we did tonight, which is share the wisdom. Additionally, you all have access to Penny, but if you want a little more guidance or hand-holding and want to talk to our team, we do 15-minute complimentary intro calls. And then we also do like deep dive financial consultations where we'll go through your numbers with you one-on-one. You can access those here. Those will also be in the thank you note that gets sent out afterwards. And then access to Penny. All the Penny tools are do it yourself. I showed you a bunch of them. Use code GNL 2023 to get access to it. The way we've built our platform, we've tried to create a very accessible, affordable online financial tool where we give you all this information. You don't have to pay $1,200 a year for a financial advisor. That's crazy. We want you to be able to get access to this knowledge and understand all of the different tips and tricks you can do to maximize your wealth. So this is the code. It'll also be in the email you get after the fact. And let's just use the next few minutes for questions. Any other questions about all things money, insurance, open enrollment's coming up? One thing I'll just plug is if you have access to insurance through an employer, another way, if you're trying to save a few extra dollars at the end of the month, look at the different plans and see if you can save a little bit on switching providers. That's if you're healthy and you're not going to the doctor all the time, but there's a lot of different things you can do to just get an extra few $100 extra at the end of the month, and then you can use that to save for retirement and grow your wealth.
That's amazing. I think
So we
there'll
have
probably be a lot of deep thought questions that'll come your way. In the thank you tomorrow, everyone, you will receive all this information as well as how to reach out to Amanda and Crissy. So you'll be able to digest this and think about everything. Really very spectacular.
we had one question. So there are fees for management of funds. What should those
Yes.
costs stay under? 0.5, 0.05%.
So for each, and this is all in penny, and that's a great question. For ETFs, we don't want you to spend more than 0.5% for fees on any ETF. For mutual funds and target funds, which are more actively managed, there's actually, investment advisors behind the scenes picking the different investments. You're okay to go up to 1% fee on those, because they really do a lot of work for you, especially target funds. If you buy a target fund, you never have to think about it again till the day you retire. You can go up to 1% for those. That's a really good question. We don't want you wasting your money on fees. We want that money in your pocket. Thank you for asking that. That's a good one.
That's great. That's great. Anyone else for the question? Thank you so much for coming on to Girls Night Live. I know that everyone's enjoyed your different segments when you've come on to bingo, Amanda and Crissy, and talk to everybody. And we look forward to seeing you at another event. And everyone, thank you. We know you have a choice of where to spend your evening, and we appreciate that you're here with us at Girls Night Live. Thank you. Everything will be sent to you, including the video, in case you want to stop and start and see exactly there's a lot of information to take in at one time, and everything will be sent out to you tomorrow. And our thank you. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Go check on that baby, Crissy. Make sure she's okay.
I just Googled it real quick, and 5 milliliters is okay. She's exactly 24 pounds. So crisis averted.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. We look forward to seeing you in another event. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.